Hey everybody, it's Brandon Doherty, Delaware Weather Guy. Welcome to Weather Weeklies with DWG. I appreciate your subscribing to my page if you can, my YouTube page. I am but a mere 115 subscribers away from reaching my ultimate goal of 1,000 subscribers. Um, this way, I get a little incentive from YouTube, not from you, from YouTube. And what I mean by incentive, I get some financial incentive. So really, you would be, YouTube would be paying me and not you. So, and that's the way I care to do my little uh, hobby business with you. So that's what I'm looking for. If you could hit that subscriber button. And at worst, you can just turn off notifications for my YouTube page because I only post like one video a day on there, or maybe two, depending on the severity of any kind of weather. I usually do a morning video post and um, an afternoon update, like just blog post. So at most you would get a notification once a day, so it wouldn't, I hope it wouldn't bother you. But again, you can turn off notifications but still be a subscriber, and only, of course, if you wanted to go there only when there was severe weather, that would be great. So anyway, I would appreciate it, and of course I always appreciate your support either way. All right, let's get let's do let's do a review of last week, and this was last week's slide. And yes, winter is coming back, and it's making a big comeback in our area. Um, and December is already has shaped up to be, a pleasant, pleasant, happy surprise and pleasant welcome of snow, not the ice, but the snow was welcome because it got a lot of us into the spirit. So we had a storm last week, and this is what I wrote. And I like to keep up what I post because then you see that I actually forecasted this, and I have to say I did a pretty fair job with this particular storm. Um, we didn't get the big snowstorm, but we got a significant weather storm. I mean, it was a nor'easter. It had snow on the front end for about 4 or 5 hours, but 3 hours of just mania where snow, it was coming down at an inch an hour. And before it changed over to sleet and then ice, freezing rain, I mean, we had 5+ inches. If we had gone the rest of the evening with just no changeover, we would have gotten well over a foot. So this storm overperformed for the northern zones. Of course, the southern zones mostly got rain, so we're apologetic in that nature. But of course, I said all along this was not the kind of storm for our southern zones. So we didn't get the big snowstorms greater than 6 inches, but we did get scenario number two, which was mixed with frozen precipitation. The only thing I probably lacked in um, last week's forecasting in the weather weeklies was I said if that were to have occurred, we would have gotten less than 2 inches. Well, we wound up getting 5 inches, which is what I predicted. I predicted for the northern Delaware area 4 to 6 inches. So pretty much went that way, and it did change and mix over. We got some rain mixed in, but not a lot of rain. We got mostly snow with sleet and freezing rain, and it's still around. All right, so I know everybody's been talking before we go to the models. Um, Everybody's been talking about the Christmas quote storm, and it's making the hay on the internet and such like that. Let's just again temper that with A lot of unknowns, a lot of details to be worked out, but it looks like it's shaping up to be a rain change to snow on the back end as cold air is infused. We don't have a Canadian high. We don't have much blocking. We and the storm tracking is well to our north and west across the lake. So that is usually a recipe for rain, and it's going to be rain at the beginning because temperatures as we creep closer to Christmas will be in excess of 55 degrees. So, um, that's, and then when the storm does get here, the temperatures will start to tumble. But the question is, will there be any precipitation left over for there to be any snow on the back end to give us maybe a dusting? If there's a significant amount of moisture left over, we could get up to 1 and 1.5 inches. So we'll just have to wait and see. But and I don't think we're going to really know anything until Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm not even going to kind of headline this until we get closer to that, and I know exactly what's coming. This would be a little easier to forecast because it's coming from the west. Anytime low pressure systems come from the west and then they track to our north through the lakes, it's mostly rain, no matter what season it is. Unless it's just it's 10 to 15 degrees temperature before this system gets here, but that's not going to be the case with this. So we're going to take a look at the teleconnections, and I know I talk a lot about the teleconnections, and I want to kind of it's like a little lesson as well as a tutorial on what they mean. So if I was showing you here, let me get my drawing tool. Okay. So EPO, AO, NAO, PNA, North American Oscillation, Arctic Oscillation. EPO is the Eastern Pacific Oscillation. And all these these teleconnections monitor what's going on, basically with the systems going kind of around the globe like this. So when I talk about EPO, PNA, and all that stuff, that's what I mean. That there's all this circulation in the upper troposphere. Okay, so for the PNA, the Pacific North American Oscillation, this is an indication of the ridging. So for our end of the country, for the eastern half of the country right here, what we're looking for is a positive PNA, because then if it's positive, it gives weather systems come from the Pacific up through the jet stream and then down into the middle part of the country, and gives weather systems time to pick up moisture from the Gulf and deliver it on the east. Now, where it goes, it can go anywhere, but that's mainly what the PNA. When I say we want a positive PNA, because then it gives us ridging. A negative PNA just creates sort of a flat ridging. You can see here it's kind of like, and it just kind of like goes like that. It's the opposite. So the storms mostly stay in the western Pacific and bring in the winter a lot of snow to the mountain regions. Okay. The NAO is important in snowstorms coming up the East Coast or nor'easters. Like last week, we had a negative NAO, and what that does is provides blocking um, near Greenland and sort of prevents storms from coming, just up the coast and out. It kind of keeps them more on a southerly nor'easter track. Now, last week's storm just happened to budge through an NA. It wasn't the strongest NAO, wasn't the strongest block, but it was a block enough to give us and provide us with a Canadian high and cold weather coming down the coastline. And of course, the Arctic oscillation is important because it tells us what is going on with the polar vortex and the warming in the poles and stratospheric warming. And thus, if it's a negative AO, that's good because then that's going to tell us that the polar vortex is weakening and it helps, bring down, well, it takes a while, but it brings down colder air to the North American continent. The APO is more like a health check on all the systems, and I don't really use that one often for any kind of major forecasting. But of course, in this situation, you do want negative EPO to provide us with some cold weather. So we'll be taking a look at those connections as well. All right, so let's go to the models. Okay, I thought I was had signed off or something. All right, so this is today, and we've actually had some snow showers. So we have some kind of small short waves passing through. We have a system to our southeast, which you're always worried about these things because they can suddenly create havoc if they take the proverbial wrong path. A forecaster can kind of dismiss it and say, it's going to go right out to sea. We have no problem with that, and life goes on. But if you remember a few years ago, we had a clipper system coming in, and it really was just supposed to kind of graze our area, go out and just go out to sea. Well, what it wound up doing was digging further, gathering some moisture, jumped off the coast. Instead of going out, it came up. And of course, this area was blanketed with a major snowstorm from Baltimore, Washington, D.C. to Boston. I think we got upwards of 8 to 10 inches. That was the day of as they call it in Eagles lore, the snow globe game against the Detroit Lions. So that doesn't look like it's going to do that, and you can see that passing off out to sea. We do have a clipper system coming in on Tuesday. Now this has some interest in me. I mean, it's due to kind of make a southeasterly push, and off out to sea, and really just kind of graze the area and provide us with some lights. We could get some light snow showers or some light showers, and you can kind of see that Central PA will get some more snow like they need it. Then as we get closer to this is the 23rd, but sorry about that. This is the 12Z. This is not out yet. So let me go back previous run. And I wish I had a producer and director and a technician to do all the changing so I could just flow with my speech. Okay, so this is the setup here this is Christmas Eve morning. So this is 6 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Eve. All right, and we have a very large low system coming from the Great Lakes. You can kind of see that pushing itself through. The storm is the low pressure is here. Okay. So you can see the cold. You can see this cold air coming out. I mean, this is really cold air, and it's making a huge push really far south. Look, it goes far south as Louisiana, and it's going to push even further down here towards Florida. You can see the moisture out ahead of it, and that's mostly rain. Okay, so let's push to this is Christmas Eve afternoon. It's raining, and it's raining pretty good in our area. Okay, and temperatures are in the mid 50s at this point. So there's no doubt that it's going to be mostly this. The front end is going to be rain. Okay. Now, as the storm pushes through from from uh, from Pittsburgh on east, another low develops, and it's rather strong. Okay, and I'm going to clear the deck here. Okay, so it creates another low. Now, this run has the low cutting like this, and this, of course, that instantaneously, as a forecaster, you don't even sniff or hint that that's going to bring any snow with it. Okay, that's a rainmaker for us, a heavy rainmaker at that. So this is the evening of Christmas Eve. So this is 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Okay, at night. Then, as we all go to sleep, this changes over to what we believe to be snow. Okay, now because it's modeled one way doesn't mean it's gospel and you take it as it is. Let me look at a sounding from this, and let me just. This is Wilmington about. Wilmington's about here. Okay, and the sounding would indicate okay, it's just below freezing. So this tells me, okay, the numbers support it. This is a saturated sounding. You've got your dew point and you got some mixing though. You got some mixing, lots of mixing between the dew point, the wet bulb, and the actual ground temperature. Um, so this tells me it changes over to some kind of frozen precipitation. Now, I doubt it being all snow, but it's pretty much out of here by 6 a.m. on Christmas. Now, does that leave behind a dusting to an inch? Possibly. And that I would say is the most we're going to squeeze out of this thing, unless. So we go to here. Let's go to unless this low, instead of taking this path, takes a more up and out. And even if it did, probably we would have rain at the coast and changing to some kind of frozen precipitation on the back end. Okay, so you can see here, and this is mostly light, but you have these winds. The wind is going to be really strong coming in from the northwest. So, is it possible that we have a white Christmas? The short answer is yes. My teleconnections. Let's look at that. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at one more thing. So let's take a look at our teleconnections. Our teleconnections are telling us that we're going into a crazy and negative NAO time frame and beginning of the new year. That's +1 for us in terms of an indicator. The NAO, which is blocking. According to this chart, as we get closer to the new year, we have some blocking. And towards Christmas, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 23, 24. Christmas is around here. We're sort of in the neutral phase, but we're slightly negative. Okay. So that tells us what? That tells us that, there's some blocking help. Okay. And the P&A, which is more helpful because now the P&A, and this is where we get into some issue where we have some issues with our teleconnections aren't exactly perfectly aligned, is that the P&A is positive, okay? And it goes slightly negative as we go into the new year. Oh, I'm sorry. The P&A is positive, so that is really good for us because that tells us what? That tells us there's a ridge in the Pacific. So, what is this all telling us? It's just telling the clues are there, that the indications are that because there's going to be a lot of activity, and look at the next few weeks anyway after Christmas. It gets very cold. B, we have a lot of moisture, we have a lot of energy. Okay, and that's close to the end of the month. And then we have another system that comes through that's mostly a lake cutter, as we say. And then we have one on the 4th, which shows as a flat, kind of low wave that goes up the coast and does really nothing. So, but, it's way out. So the possibilities there are there. The indications, the clues are there. Are we going to get another big system before the end of the month? We'll just have to wait and see. But the indications are strong that we could be going through a very active winter weather period. So that is it from me. I hope you have a great Christmas, great week. And this is Brandon Doherty, Delaware Weather Guy, wishing you the best. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And take care. Brandon Doherty, Delaware Weather Guy, saying adios.